Okay, so in the previous tutorials we looked at how we could use Python to simply output text by placing it inside of quotation marks inside a print function, just like the example here. We also looked at how we could use Python to output numbers by simply typing those inside of the brackets. And we also looked at how we could use variables to store numbers and then make reference to the variable name inside of the print command, like this example here. What we're going to look at now is how we can use variables to store text, and then how we can combine text and numbers into a single line. So, in order to store a text value, all we need to do is create a variable to put it in. So let's create a variable called fname for first name, and we'll store inside of that the name Kevin. Notice that because it's a piece of text that we're storing in the variable, we must put it inside of quotation marks. We can then create another variable, this time we'll call it sname for surname, and again make that equal to assign it the value sort. And again, because it's a piece of text, then it must be inside of a set of quotation marks. So what I can now do in Python is I can simply ask Python to print for me whatever is in fname. And since fname contains the value Kevin, when I hit the play button, this should output the text Kevin down in the interpreter window. I can also then add onto that whatever is in sname. So if I hit the play button now, we should get Kevin sort. Notice, however, that there's no space between the two parts of the name. We can fix this problem quite simply by adding into this a space character. Now, the plus signs here are not doing arithmetic. In this case, they're doing what's called concatenation. They're joining these pieces of text together. So we're taking the fname variable, Kevin, concatenating with it a space character. Notice there's a space between these two quotation marks, and then concatenating onto the end of that whatever is in the sname variable sort. So if we hit play this time, what we should get is almost the same output as before, but this time with a space in the middle, making it look much more presentable. Now, we can also store and mix text and number values. So, let's assume that we've got some students taking a test. We need to store their score for the test. So we're going to create a variable called score, and let's say that this student gets 68 points on the test. Notice, because we're storing a number and not text, there's no quotation marks around it. The student obviously has a name. So let's create a variable called name, and let's assume that this student is called Paul. Now again, because we're storing a piece of text in the variable, we must put it inside a set of quotation marks. So what we now want to do is try and output a message that tells Paul what his score is. So we're going to use the print command. What we then need to do is we need to make reference to the person's name. So what we can do is the following. Let's introduce the text student, add onto that whatever is in the variable name. So let's see what we get when we run this. We should get down here the message student Paul. It's part way to what we want. What we wanted to do is add on to the end here the score for that student. So let's see if we can do that. We can concatenate, add on some further text. Let's add the text score. And then what we would like to do is add onto that whatever their score is, whatever is inside this variable here called score. So, let's see what happens if we attempt to run this. We have a problem. Now, rather than just dismiss this message, it's always useful to read the message, even if you don't quite understand what all it might be saying. In this case, we've got what's called a type error, and it's saying that it cannot concatenate a str and an int object. Now, str is short for string. String is a technical computer term for a series of characters. And that's what these things are here. Student here is a string because it's inside quotation marks, and name is a string because it contains a piece of text, in this case Paul. Int is short for integer. Now the score variable here contains a number, and this is the integer. So Python is telling us that we can't join this text here with this integer variable here, this number here. In order to solve this problem, what we need to do is we need to convert the score value here into a string, into a piece of text. And we do that using the string function in Python. All we need to do is make sure that we've got the matching brackets at the beginning and the end of the print statement, and then the matching brackets around the string function here. So we're now using the string function to convert the score value, 68, into a piece of text so that we can add it onto the rest of this text here. So let's hit the play button. Now hopefully we've got something approaching what we want down here. Student Paul score 68. I'm not quite happy about what's going on here because it doesn't look neat. Now all we need to do to solve this problem here is we can put a space before the word score here. Let's run it again, and hopefully now we've got something that looks more presentable. Student Paul has a score of 68. And that's how you can combine variables that contain numbers with variables that contain text. You can concatenate them together using the plus sign. If you want to mix a number in with the text, you must use the string function to convert that number first into a piece of text. And that concludes this tutorial.